Welcome to the J-Train Podcast. It's J-Train, Jared Freid, coming to you live from the quarantine cabin on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We are here Mondays and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Okay, I'll say it again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Thank you, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Thank you. Hit us with a comment on YouTube. Come on, tickle the keys. You got to do it. Do it. That's how it works. This is how it works. Compensation. Don't just be a dummy on the internet. Compensation. Say it with me. Compensation. How does it happen? I don't know. You support the sponsors. You tell a friend. You make it your Instagram story. Ooh, that tickles my nuts when you make it your Instagram story. That is a non-invasive way to be like, hey, everybody, I like the J-Train podcast. That's what you're doing. And listen, I'm doing my job. I'm putting out videos every episode, and that's like a little piece of cheese. You got to bring me some mice. That's right. That's how it all works. Nothing is for free. There's no such thing as free lunches, and I want to be paid with a lot of your mice because I'm putting out cheese. That's how it works. Live shows. Charleston, South Carolina. I'm doing 2 shows in Charleston. Make a trip, make a weekend. Beautiful city, great food, socially distanced, of course. 90 seats at each show. Nimesh Patel and I, Uptown Social, August 19th and 20th. Also, Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to come to Cleveland. Going to hit the lake. Very excited. Oh, jaredfreid.com is where you get those tickets. jaredfreid.com, jaredfreid.com. Also, Patreon. 3 Patreon episodes. Talk about compensation. We're dancing on Patreon. It is like the hull of the Titanic. Just everyone's dancing. And no old fogies to get in the way. So that's what's going on. Patreon.com/JaredFreid. You can find all that in the description of today's podcast. But most importantly, very excited about today's guest. Returning to the podcast, an OKP, hilarious comedian, Sarah Tolamash. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That's a lot of content you've been putting out.
I listen, the Prince of Promos. It is funny that I am putting out an embarrassing amount. Like there's a point where I go, I can't stop. I legitimately can't stop. And now that I got TikTok, like my girlfriend is like legitimately like, put it away. Stop. And I'm kind of sitting there like, maybe this is the thing. I don't know what I think.
Yeah. When we hit pandemic, I was like, I got to make content. So that's all I've been doing, and it's disgusting.
It feels gross. It feels gross because you know what it feels like? Because I do put out a lot of stuff, and I enjoy putting it out. Yeah. And I think the people who like it. I get, for all the... us as comics, we talk a lot about bad feedback because those stories are funnier. It's the better story is the asshole, not the person telling you great job. So we talk about the negative a lot, that's why we're funny. We sit in the negative and we make fun of it. But I do put out enough where it's kind of like telling someone I'm on a diet. Like if I'm like, yeah, I'm on a diet, and they go, so for what, a couple days? And you're like, no, 6 months. And they're like, oh, I guess,
yeah, it's my lifestyle.
And someone's like, you look the exact same,
yeah.
And
you're
it's like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I'm putting out so much content that someone would be like, so you must be taping from your mansion now. No, things are the same.
I increased my followers by 10 in 2 months. But I'm working harder for no money than I have ever in my entire life.
That's right. The hustle is strong. Yeah. Sarah's so funny. I'm so happy to have you back. The last time you were on, you came on with Adrian Iapolucci, who was just recently on the show. You guys have a podcast together called Vag, which you're both so funny. Give us the 1 minute, what the podcast is. How would you explain the podcast to listeners?
It's really, I don't know, just two people talking about shit irreverently. We don't give a shit about anything, and we felt like we had structure, but then we just lost. It just went off the rails. So,
but you two are so funny that like, and irreverence a great word because it's like you're just gonna I would say to the listeners, you're eavesdropping in on two really funny people having a great conversation.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's like we never really take a side. We try to make fun of both sides, and then that's how. Yeah, basically that's what it is.
It's so funny how heated the sides are that like everyone's like, we know what you're talking about. We know exactly what you're talking about.
I kind of admitted to being a centrist, and then apparently I didn't know that we are awful, evil people.
Yes, you're a racist. Well, I was actually having that conversation with someone last night where it's like they were saying to me, they're like, I'm in the center now. And they're like, I can't believe it. Like, they were like, I used to be some left-wing nut job. And they're like, it moved. Like, saying you're a centrist, that has some context to it because when everything shifts, the center's different than it used to be.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, technically, you're just like, you're a liberal, but now it feels like I'm part of the Ku Klux Klan or something.
Sure. And listen, you may or may not be. I'm not going to deny or accept. I don't know what you're doing on your free time.
Man, I'm too lazy to join an organization. That's a lot of work to hate.
Yeah, and we have content to put out. We got stupid little videos to put out. So, and also, more importantly, we talk about this every now and again. Some, a comic will come on the show. You have an album that is out right now. And I want to let everyone know, Sarah is so funny. I love watching you on stage. I love watching you do stand-up. And for the listeners at home, do this right now. Go listen to Sarah's album. It's brand new. It's called Voluptuous Boy. And it's everywhere. I have to reiterate this every episode. Everywhere you listen to music, you type in Sarah's name or Voluptuous Boy, anywhere you're already listening to music, her album is there. And I mentioned compensation in the beginning. Just you listening is compensation. You pressing play gets Sarah paid. How great is that?
Just put it on in the background while you're cleaning your apartment.
And that sounds like, now it sounds like we're begging. Just play it as much times as possible. But I'm saying that because you're going to become an immediate fan. Sarah, where did you tape it? Why is it called Voluptuous Boy? These are the questions that get us into the hard questions. But I think like the stand-up comedy album is the cousin of the podcast. The podcast is living. It is a back and forth ping pong conversation. The stand-up album is like you get to like kind of close your eyes and feel like you're in the room with the person. You can feel like you hear the drinks being passed out.
I also think it's a thing that all comics can do on their own, a DIY, that you don't have to have industry help you out with that. You can do it on. It's a little bit more work, but not by much. I still felt like I did a lot of work putting it together. But I taped it at New York Comedy Club, and I taped it a week before we shut down. So I got it right under the buzzer. And I even mentioned COVID in it. And I had people that day go, I don't know if I'm going to make it because of COVID. So I'm trying to sell your ticket. And I'm like, first of all, I don't need to know that. You don't need to put that on my Facebook wall and instill fear in people.
Hey, everybody. I'm afraid of dying from a pandemic virus. But if you'd like my ticket, I'm selling them at face value. Like what?
Now I'm like looking back at that person. I'm like, that was probably a really smart thing that you did.
It's a very like, they're actually like a reasonable person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't have probably been out that first week because it obviously spiked pretty hard 2 weeks later.
Sure.
But I felt pretty good about getting it under the buzzer.
Yeah, listen, someone's grandpa died, but at least you got your album out there.
I know. That's all I care about.
So
it is what it is.
You taped it in New York, a New York club, New York Comedy Club. I love going there too. And why Voluptuous Boy? That's obviously one of the jokes on the album.
Yeah, it's one of the jokes. I was going to name it White Lady, but then I got heat from that. And so I decided not to because that was another joke that I had of just like making fun of myself.
What's the heat
I guess
about?
during BLM, it's out of context. It felt insensitive. And so I was like, I'm one of those people that hates dealing with any kind of like trash, but generally I talked to most people and they felt like they weren't going to have a problem with it, but I had no problem changing it to Voluptuous Boy because that was the second place that I was going to name it.
Also, Voluptuous Boy, like that's a memorable thing. That is something like just the word, I use the word voluptuous or no, vivacious in a bit of mine. And it's just a memorable, funny word, like just generally.
Yeah, it's a nice way of saying fat.
Yes. It is. Well, I think voluptuous on a boy. Like, if someone said, "Jared, you're voluptuous," I would be like, "I will never speak to you again."
Fuck you.
Like, yeah, get the fuck. If someone like I have a joke about someone once yelled at me at it was in Portland. I was opening a show, and some woman stood up from her seat and literally yelled at me because I was talking about weight stuff. I like talking about weight stuff because health and weight it's a battle. It's always on my mind. So
everyone deals with it. Yeah.
Everyone deals with it. And like, it'd be dishonest for me not to talk about it considering the amount I put into thinking about it on a daily basis. So I have jokes about like feeling fat, whatever. And this woman stands up and she's like the most liberal, like talk about like central casting for like, you know, she's one of the moms that's in front of the protest at a BLM protest, you know, like she's in the wall. She just looked like
it's all about her.
She grew from the ground in Portland as a white woman. And she stood up, she goes, "You're not fat." And I was like immediately like, so now I have a joke about like, this is the worst thing you could ever yell at someone because like, then people are like, "Are you curvy?" And it's like a man calls me curvy. Like if I was called curvy, it would be correct, but also like I would be like, "You've ruined." I can't get hard. Yeah, devastated.
No, I mean, I have to say one of life's tragedies is when you see a man with childbearing hips.
And you see it more if you look for it. You see it way more.
Jared
than you'd
Kushner,
expect.
He has childbearing hips.
Now we're all pausing the podcast, Googling Kushner hips. Can you imagine if Kushner hips just started trending?
I know, and then I'm getting shit for like shaming men's bodies. I'd kill for that publicity though.
Listen, and you can find the album anywhere you stream music. You can find listen, I want everyone to go listen to Sarah's albums. She's so funny. I love watching you on stage. I love watching your stand up. So, and anyone here, listen, we all need moments to take our brains, put it on the shelf, and let someone else take the wheel. That's what you're doing when you go download Sarah's album, Apple Music, Spotify,
Google Play, iTunes,
the whole deal. So it's called Voluptuous Boy. It's out literally right now. You can pause this and go listen right now and come back to this. That's what you should do. At Stolamash on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow her. I'll have her all over my socials right now. Are you ready to do some emails?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Let's do broken trust.
Okay.
Hi, Jared. In a serious relationship, if your partner lies to you, do you think it's possible for that relationship to ever truly be successful moving forward? For background, 2-year relationship, said he was home at 1 a.m., but since I have his location, I was able to figure out he spent the night somewhere else. He lied about it when asked, then eventually admitted when he went to a girlfriend's house. She has a boyfriend and knew he had a girlfriend. Had a couple of drinks and slept on the couch. Apologized profusely, super regretful, said he knew it was wrong, and that's why he tried to hide it. Can trust really be rebuilt? Would love your perspective. Thank you. I think this is a great email. It's also like, it's interesting. Like, it has a lot more to it than maybe she might think. What do you,
I know.
Sarah, you're a married woman.
Yes.
have you dealt with like this on the spectrum of lies? Where does it stand for you?
It's very questionable. I have to say, Joe and I are both sober, so we never have these situations occur, but I understand they do happen when you're out drinking and you don't want to drink and drive and you crash on the couch, and that feels fine. But I also am like, why is he hanging out? Is it an ex-girlfriend?
He just said it just says a girlfriend's house, and she has a boyfriend and knows he had a girlfriend. But like, whose house are you sleeping at?
I know.
That your girlfriend doesn't know. Your girlfriend of 2 years has no like knowledge of. She not because, and I'm only assuming that because she writes she has a boyfriend and knew he had a girlfriend. If I slept on the couch of a friend of mine's place and I said to my girlfriend, yeah, I slept at blankety blanks, she would go, oh, I know blankety blank. They have a boyfriend. I can even contact. We've hung out. I understand the dynamic. A 2-year relationship, that's where I'm at. I'm 2 years in over here. Like, I can't see this being a scenario I would get into.
Yeah, I was just saying that it's like something, I don't know, I don't remember my dad ever doing that or like like remember when your dad would just crash at a girlfriend's house who had a boyfriend, so it was fine, and it's like that's how I base everything is like, would my dad do this? And I'm like, no. And then if Joe did it, then it would also be weird. So I'm still I'm so skeptical of this one.
Yeah, I don't buy the story. I don't buy. Let's start at we both don't buy the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea that it's
why did he lie?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's very convenient that he chose a girl that you have no interaction with to say that he crashed there, because now you can't go to the girl. You can't, this is all kind of lands in the land of convenience. What do you think though, this is my first of a couple questions because I'm interested to hear what you think. What do you think that said he was home at 1 a.m., but since I have his location, I was able to figure out he spent the night somewhere else. What do you think of having your partner's location? Like, you can turn on location. Like, I could turn on to let my girlfriend have wherever I am on a map at every moment of the day. Do you think that's like, would you do that to your husband? Like, that sends a chill down my spine to have.
It's weird. It's like, I don't know, where like I never go through Joe's phone. I don't even try to attempt. It's a boundary that I respect. I just feel like if you're having to do geolocations on your partner, it's probably not the best relationship.
You have other problems. This is, she says, can trust be rebuilt? But like, I think you had, the trust wasn't really built to begin with. Exactly.
Yes.
Like I was at we went to a winery and in Connecticut when I was doing shows up there, and we sat close to this other table. This other woman was like, and I have his location, and I heard that and I was like, ugh, like get me out of that relationship.
That's a controlling relationship. I mean, I would be highly upset if Joe did geolocations on me. I mean, it'd be sad because I would just be at our apartment the whole time. Where he's like, you need to get out.
Well, that's the other thing. It also talk about like the hypocrisy. When I hear you say if Joe had location services on you, I'm like, that's weird. That's out of a movie. That's a Lifetime movie. When I hear the girl has it on the guy, I'm like, man, that relationship's fucked up. Like, it's like, I don't know why it's different in my brain.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Like the woman having the guys, you're like, she just wants to keep him in line. And then the guy having the woman's, you're like,
she's going to get murdered.
He's a murderer. He's going to make sure like this is all like the guy's bad on both sides. Like, yeah,
it's not going to end well. It feels like an abusive relationship. I mean, I remember dating this guy that wanted me to have a pager. This was back in the time when we had pagers. And I remember being like, oh my God, this is awful. He wants me to if he buzzes me, he needs me to call him right away. That was awful. And that was an abusive relationship.
It sounds abusive. And also, like, were you ever, like, embarrassed to tell people, like, yeah, I have this pager because of, you know?
Well, he would get so mad at me because I would never, this relationship didn't last long, but I would hardly ever, I would be like, it's so hard to find a payphone. It wasn't easy.
Like, how many minutes do you have from paging to call that you're not in trouble?
It was just so stressful. I'm like, this is just pages should just be for doctors. Like, I don't need to have this. Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny to me that you say, my boyfriend made me have a pager so I know, or has my location services. And then the brunch table's like, whoa, are you okay? And then it's like the other way around. This woman says, so I have his location services. And everyone's like, good, keep your man in line. And you're like, wait, that's kind of fucked up. Like, I would say that can trust be rebuilt? I think it can absolutely be rebuilt. Yeah. In this situation, I think there has to be trust initially to rebuild trust. It's called rebuild. You have lost out on that.
You never had it.
The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Remember breakfast cereal? Ooh, I loved a breakfast cereal. You know why I like breakfast cereal? It was the first time you really cooked for yourself. It was the first time you poured that bowl, you put the milk in, you did the milk to the right level that you like. Ooh, that felt good. It felt good to read the back of the box. I loved Cocoa Puffs. I was a big Cocoa Puffs guy. Not just as I wasn't having it for breakfast. It was a snack, bedtime snack, morning snack, midday snack. Breakfast as a kid used to be fun, but now that I'm watching my carbs and sugar, breakfast is boring. This episode is sponsored by Magic Spoon, a new cereal company that's discovered a way to recreate your favorite childhood cereals with 0 sugar, 12 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving. It tastes too good to be true. Magic Spoon offers 4 flavors based on the all-time classics: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry, plus a variety pack that lets you try all 4. I love the cocoa because that brings me back to Cocoa Puffs. Drinking the milk afterwards. And I'll say this, you're trying to have a snack, you're trying to have something that's a little delicious, you're trying to get away from the normalcy of your day. It's great to have Magic Spoon in the cabinet because you're like, okay, I'm going off the reservation a little bit. I'm moving in a different direction with my meals today, but it's got 0 sugars, 12 grams of protein, 3 net grams of carbs, and you feel a little bit better about having a good snack. Magic Spoon spent over a year working with the best food scientists and chefs in the world to recreate the taste texture of classic sugary cereals. But it tastes so incredible that you'd never guess it was healthy. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. You've got to try Magic Spoon to believe it because it tastes amazing. Go to magicspoon.com/JTrain. That's magicspoon.com/JTrain to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use my promo code JTrain at checkout to get free shipping. magicspoon.com/JTrain. Get the variety pack. Try it today. Promo code JTrain at checkout to get free shipping. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product. It's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's magicspoon.com/JTrain. Use code JTrain for free shipping. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring the show and bringing back childhood favorites that won't leave us bloated. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here is Sarah Tolamash. Go get the album. Go listen to it wherever you're streaming music. Voluptuous Boy, right now. Go, go, go. How to deal with the MLM friend. Okay, I don't know what MLM...
Oh, multi-level marketing.
Oh, the ladies are hot on this one. Obviously, you have heard of such a thing.
It's huge on Facebook. I have people that I follow it's a cult. They are so entwined in the MLM life.
So I know one person that I'm thinking of specifically, and their posts are always them with a Corvette or them with a BMW. There's this weird salesy thing of show them the life you would want. I remember there was one girl that she worked for a makeup thing, and she was always posting halfway to the Mercedes, and you're like, is this what gets the Mercedes gets you up in the morning? Like, that's what you needed?
It's way more work than doing a day. Like, you could just work a regular job and get that Mercedes than doing the multi-level marketing and bothering your friends about it.
This person wrote, Feather, I have a question about how to deal with a friend who has signed up for a multi-level marketing scheme. A few months ago, one of my closest friends texted me and asked me to follow her new Instagram account. During quarantine, she decided to get into fitness coaching. Oof. It's not even like makeup. It's fitness. Ugh. It's like extra judgy. Like, not only am I trying to make money off of you, but I'm going to use shame to get it out of you.
Yeah, and fear. It's really weird.
She decided to get into fitness coaching and wanted to share her journey on social media. Yeah, it's always a journey. Wanting to be the supportive friend, of course I followed. That seems like a small gesture to follow. I could follow the account for a friend.
I'll follow an account. And actually, I enjoy watching it as an anthropological study. It's
totally
fascinating.
Agree. There is more, I'd say 50% of my following is like friends and babies. And the other 50% is like, what the fuck is going on here?
It's crazy town.
Yeah, let's go to crazy town. I am in a private group on Facebook. I'll admit it here.
Sure.
Where
who is it?
It's the only it's the only reading I do.
Yeah.
It's legitimately the only thing I read is this Facebook group. Like, people are like, what book are you into this summer? I'm into this Facebook group where people are posting irrational shit every day. So she follows the friend to be supportive. Okay, fine. I am now regretting this decision. I looked more into the program she's part of, and it's definitely an MLM. She is posting every day, multiple stories, talking about the grind and the hustle behind building her business, all in an effort to sell workout packages and protein shakes. To be frank, it's fucking annoying. The answer should be as simple as muting her account, but I know she will notice. She has even gone so far as to text me when she sees that I watched her story and ask why I didn't participate in whatever poll or question she posted. Oh!
That's a boundary crossed.
Yeah. Then she asked me to go back, rewatch it, and participate so she can get more quote-unquote exposure. Oy, I love her, and I know she's really excited about this program, but I feel like I'm being treated more like a potential client and less like a friend. I've already told her I'm not interested in her products, which she understands, but still wants me to promote her account. Is there any way I can disengage with the Instagram page but maintain the friendship? Any advice would be appreciated. Wow. So, it's an interesting email because at the beginning of this podcast, I go through this 1 minute thing of share and compensation, and this is how it works. But that is with the understanding that people listening to this show, watching the videos, are getting something out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to differentiate myself from the MLM marketer who needs exposure, but I
get it.
It's a thin line. I don't, because I could defend what I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, you got an hour podcast where we're being funny, we're answering emails, I'm bringing you content of some sort. The way you interact with it is to support the sponsors, is to promote the show. That is very helpful. But if someone didn't do that, I don't say to them, hey, I saw you listen to the podcast. Where's your Instagram post? Like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend just yelled from the background that I do that. What scenario?
I have asked for somebody to like something.
Hold on. Let me go back.
Okay.
You have asked for someone to like someone? Fine. That's a like to me is as low. That's, do you got a quarter I can borrow? I got to pay the toll.
Yeah. Push me up on the algorithm.
Yeah. Push me up the algorithm. I have had people DM me for advice separate from this podcast, and then they don't follow my account. And I say, listen, I'm not here to fucking play games with someone that doesn't support. Basically, what you're saying is, I use all your shit, and now I'm admitting to using all your shit, and I don't even follow you.
I'm not supporting.
Yeah, I'm not even. I don't even know. Like, I think it's different than this situation because I have to admit to it.
Realizing something.
The mirror just got put up to us. No, but I have to differentiate this from what we do here, because I think the idea is like, okay, you have an hour podcast where you're getting some sort of enjoyment out of it. Also, you can turn off and not promote it. But when someone's like, hey, give me advice, give me 10 minutes of your time, and then they don't follow your account, I go, well, I feel like I'm being used a little bit.
Yeah,
like in this scenario, the using is kind of reversed.
Well, MLM is really fascinating, especially it's a female-driven business. I don't really ever see men doing MLM. They might do something different, like drop shipping, but doesn't
What's
use
drop shipping?
Oh my God. It's like you can buy all this cheap Chinese shit and figure out how to advertise it on Instagram to make it look expensive. And you can create your own online store, but you really have to do all your self-marketing yourself the same way that you would do it for MLM. And
sure. I mean,
it's
people
a
sell.
grind.
Life insurance kind of is a little bit MLM-ish. Like,
yeah,
I think men has different. I think the male version of this has different window dressing, but it's similar in
it's the same thing.
Approach. Yeah.
But MLM for women, a lot of the times the reason why I don't like it is because they hide behind the fact that it's female empowerment. And I think when you find out a lot of these MLMs, they're huge scams and they create fear and they can bankrupt a lot of people because you have to buy a shit ton of product. And the only way that you make money is by getting more people to work underneath you. It's a pyramid scheme. Yeah,
and it's you buy a bunch of inventory and now it's on you're the one at risk for the inventory. Now the company isn't at risk. I'm with you. I think this also, like, again, the fact that it hurts friendships because people are like, hey, go to your friends and family. They call it your natural market.
Yeah.
And, and for her.
That's where we different. We don't have, my friends and family are not buying into my shit.
That is where we different. That is the difference, is we're not going to friends and family and being like, please fucking share my new podcast. That's annoying.
Yeah. To their 5 followers.
Yeah. Listen, if they did that, that'd be very nice, but I wouldn't be holding against them. But for this situation, and it's very difficult because she's like, I think what she wrote is is a reasonable thing to write to her friend. I feel like I'm being treated more like a potential client and less like a friend. Like, hey, I'm here. I think what the person that she's dealing with has forgotten is that if someone doesn't find value in the thing that you're putting out there, then you can't force them to help you.
Yeah. And you can't expect that from your friends and family.
No. But that's kind of the whole thing with, like, doing comedy. If you didn't like the show, I'm not going to, like, go force you to tell people to like that you love the show.
Yeah, it'll just do it naturally.
Yeah, I either sink or swim. If your product isn't good enough and you're not putting it in front of the right eyes, there's not much more I can do. Like this podcast grew a lot when women started listening.
Yeah.
So like if I was standing out at, at some fucking MMA fight being like, hey, everybody, listen to my podcast, like, no one would come because I'm in the wrong spot. That is not fertile grounds. So I think, like, this person, I think she should mute them. I think she should let the person approach her. And if she says to her, like, hey, you're not supportive, like, hey, I'm following the account. You've been on top of
your
me.
Stuff.
I'm liking the post whenever I see the post. At that point, I don't know what else I can do for you, but your business is not my responsibility. And I'm telling you that as a friend, because if I feel this way, other people will feel this way.
Yeah. I still want to be friends with you. It's like dealing with somebody that has, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it feels like someone that's dealing like with a different belief system than you have. You're like, yeah, this is just not where we're going to agree on. Or like, hanging out with your vegan friend and they start pushing their thing. Sure. And you're like, I might agree with you, but like, I don't want to hear it right now. And it makes me uncomfortable.
I think starting with saying to someone what you said is so important. I still want to be your friend. Let me tell you where we change from friend to client.
Yeah.
When I feel like I'm being watched by you, when I'm passively watching Instagram stories, like that's uncomfortable. That makes me want to help you less.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to see you less. And I hate that. Like, let them know that you hate that this is kind of coming between you.
Yeah.
And then you...
Yeah, you just want to be friends with them, but you don't want to have them pushing a product on you the whole time.
Listen, I'm sure you feel this way. I feel this way with stand-up, like where someone, like we have a lot of times where someone will go, I want to come to a show, and you go, anytime. And then you're, would love to have you. I always go, would love to have you. And then they go, when's the next one? And I go, I'll be next week at this time. And they go, I can't make that one. And you go,
I don't care. I don't care.
And now you're in this position of like, well, what about, or like, and I just go, cool, let me know. You give me a day and we'll figure it out. Yeah. And then they go, well, when's the next one? And you go,
every night,
and there is this thing of like, you don't want to make, and I think we're, as comics, we're like acutely aware of making our pursuit someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And I think like, because you've had that conversation, right? Where someone's like, when's the next one?
Yeah. And I'd always get front where they're like, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. And you're like, I honestly don't care. And I don't want you to go have inner turmoil about this.
No. And they might be just saying that just to like,
kind
of absolve themselves, but they end up putting more like on us than we want to even have. Like I have certain people in my life, and I know them as this now after doing this for 10 years, is that I'm like, they're just saying that because they feel like they have to say that. And then it turns into this like, and sometimes they get you where you're down the rabbit hole of like, but this date and this date and this date, and you're like, oh my God, they got me. Now I'm fucking begging them, It's like, and you just don't want to deal with that. And I think like your friend either figures that out or they don't, but they have to realize that they started this business. If they started this business because you're their friend, they have a lot of friends, then they didn't start a real business.
Yeah. I think of it as like, that her friend that's in an MLM should just really be a beacon of light and just stay put and shine her little light. And then if you want to come to it, you should come to it. And that you totally support her shining her light. But like,
that's a very female, nice way to say it.
Yeah.
You shine your light. And if your light gets shined, I'll do a little tanning in it, but I'll wear
boat.
Yeah. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Upstart. During these economically turbulent times, everyone is looking for a way to feel more financially secure. If you're still throwing money at high-interest credit cards every month, it's time to check out Upstart, the revolutionary lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score. Find out how low your Upstart rate can be today. I gotta say, I love this sponsor because it can help you. Right now, you just take a look at the rates you're paying. Upstart might be able to get you paying a lower rate to pay back your money. If you have debt, Upstart can help you out. So if you're out there with debt, take a look. And the beauty is that Upstart goes beyond the traditional credit score. They actually reward you based on your education and job history in the form of smarter rates. Skip the bank. It's completely online, loans from $1,000 to $50,000. They make it fast, simple, and easy to check your rate. Since it's just a soft pull, it won't affect your credit score. The hard pull happens if you accept your rate. The best part, once the loan is approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day, the next day. Over 400,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards or meet their financial goals. Free yourself from the burden of high-interest credit card debt by consolidating everything into one monthly payment with Upstart. This is where you make back your money. If you got a lot of different debts out there, combine them all into one. Now you're paying one rate that might be lower than the combined rate of all your other debt. See why Upstart has 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot. Hurry to upstart.com/JTrain. That's upstart.com/JTrain to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and won't affect your credit rate. Only takes a few minutes. That's upstart.com/JTrain. Here's the part the lawyers make me say. Your loan amount will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Not all applicants will qualify for the full amount. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies wants to talk underpants. Pull up a chair. They just want you to feel comfortable, like really comfortable, in your underwear. Have you ever seriously considered the underwear that feathers your nethers regions? You've got some important stuff down there, you know. Thankfully, MeUndies has, which is why they're changing the game with softer than soft, sustainable undies and fun prints like unicorns, dinosaurs, and surfboards. And lots of colors so you can be totally comfy being you inside and out. I love MeUndies. I love what they're doing. I love that I know most of you haven't thought about your underwear. And the minute you do, the minute you get a new pair, is the minute that you're improving yourself, improving your day. You walk a little bit better. You're a little more comfortable. Right now, what you can do, you have one pair of underwear that you wear begrudgingly. I have that pair. I've had it in the past. That one pair of underwear that you're like, I guess I'll wear it. Everything's in the wash. I'll just do today. You don't have to do that to yourself. Throw that one out. Let's get a new pair of MeUndies. MeUndies traveled the world to bring back a super soft fabric that's sustainable source from beechwood trees. Keep your underpants drawer stocked with a MeUndies membership. A MeUndies membership is a monthly subscription that sends you new pairs right to your door so you can keep your undies drawer stocked, fresh, and fun. Plus, with member access to site-wide savings and exclusive sales, you can easily and affordably build a quality collection of super soft undies over time. And that's one heck of an undie upgrade if you ask us. I'll say this. The undies conveyor belt. You get the new one, you throw away the old one. And you just keep, rotating them in. MeUndies comes in fun matching patterns and comes in all shapes and sizes from extra small to 4XL. All bodies welcome. MeUndies is the only underwear for me. Try it for yourself. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. To get 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/JTrain. It's a no-brainer. Get yours today at MeUndies.com/JTrain, MeUndies.com/JTrain. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com, JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Here with Sarah Tolamash. Go. So funny at Stolamash on Instagram. The Voluptuous Boy. That's the name of the album. You can listen anywhere albums are listened to, music or comedy. Put in Sarah's name, you'll get the album. Help with a guy who's not interested in me, but they're not disinterested in me. Okay.
I say disinterested.
Yeah, that might not be a good sign. I met this guy about 2 years ago at my manager's going away party. We didn't really talk during that time besides a hi and a bye. Fast forward to this January 2020. I matched with him on Hinge. We talked for a little bit, nothing flirtatious. I then deleted my Hinge and he managed to find me on Facebook. I thought it was kind of cute, so I DM'd him on IG to get the conversation going on there. I'm not on Facebook like that. So we've been talking on and off since January. He works at this bar that I frequent, and this past weekend I had the courage, along with some shots of Fireball, to ask him on a date. I probably didn't go about it the right way since I said, are we getting wings or nah? But he's, that's a very, we doing wings or nah?
Yeah.
To me though, I actually think if you've been messaging kind of like pecking at each other since January 2020, wings or nah is actually an appropriate, like, when is this going to happen? I do actually agree with that type of approach.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but he said, we'll see, we'll talk. See, he's avoiding it. She made it pretty simple, wings or nah. And he said, we'll see, we'll talk. To me, I got rejected because that night he DM'd me saying, wings, I'll let you know. I'm working like crazy this week. Okay. Usually when I see I'll let you know, it's like that meme that said, I put the no in I'll let you know. Okay. Yeah. I think it's interesting that she said, are we doing wings or nah? And then he says, we'll see, we'll talk. And then she doesn't respond. And then he's afraid of losing it. So he goes, wings, I'll take wings, but I'll let you know. So he is afraid of losing it. But I don't know about you.
It sounds like he has lots of things on the fire, whatever you call it.
I think you're right about that as well. I don't know about you, but I usually know when I'm off that week. And if he was really interested, he'd be proactive in figuring out a day we're hanging out. Fast forward to this past Tuesday where this conversation happened. So I'm going to read this conversation. He responded to her Instagram story. Okay. You know, the response to an Instagram story. He wrote, in the city. She writes, yeah. And then he writes, okay, let me start this. Let me set the scene. This 7:04 p.m. 7:04 p.m. He writes, in the city. And then she writes, yeah. Then at 11:39 p.m., he writes, boo. So when do you want to hang out? She writes, wait, what? I'm confused. I thought you weren't interested. He writes, what have you that idea? Oof. That almost fucking gave me a brain hemorrhage. I mean, and he writes, I mean, we haven't really ever hung out, so I won't know if I'm interested until we do. But I don't think I've never been disinterested in hanging out. These are like riddles. This is like,
girl, this is too much work.
And then he writes, if that makes sense. No, it makes no sense. She writes, so you haven't talked to blank? And then he writes, about what? Well, then, I totally told him that you rejected my ass, kissy face. Wait, LOL, when did I reject you? She writes, I'll let you know. We'll see. We'll talk. And then she, like, taking his words and using them against him. Then he wrote, ha, I definitely said yes to hang out, but I was working and didn't have time to make plans right then and there. And then she writes, I took that as a I'll let you know, LMAO. And she put capital N-O okay, so then he doesn't respond. And then she writes, all right, when are you free? And then he writes, tonight, but bars close at 10. And I'll have to see what my schedule is next week, but probably off Tuesday, Wednesday. She writes, let's do Tuesday. And then he writes, wings, tacos. And then she says, I'll have to see the day of.
Okay. I want to shoot myself in the face. This is awful. This is awful.
This is what it's too much. This is what happens when he's being vague enough to keep this casual. He doesn't want to make a date that locks him into a date. He wants to meet up. That's what he's trying to do. And then she's being more direct than him, but she is playing his game. There is a point where he goes, I definitely, no, when he says wings, tacos, and then she says, I'll have to see the day of. To me, you're kind of playing his immature, casual game. And I know why she's doing it. She doesn't want to seem too much or too whatever.
Yeah.
There's a point where she has to go Tuesday at 8. Like, because she's pushing the issue now, and she knows she's pushing this. And I don't, I think you and I would probably agree that she should probably not. Like, this doesn't seem like.
It's just like a big waste of time. I just feel like things, I don't know. I just feel like you're like, are we going on a date or not? Because if we're not, then I'm going to move on, and maybe this will work out later, but this is a highly annoying conversation to be having over and over again. Like, there's no outcome that's happening.
And this has been happening since January 2020. So, like, the idea that you've done 6 months of, like, the idea like this, like, and listen, I am not someone who's against the flirt that happens in DM. Like, I understand how that can happen.
Yeah, it's fun, I guess.
That's fun, but there's a shit or get off the pot moment. When he writes the riddle that he wrote, the thing he wrote, I mean, we haven't really ever hung out, so I won't know if I'm interested until we do, but I don't think I've ever been disinterested in hanging out. Like, that is literally him like distracting you. He's going, no, I'm not interested, but I'm interested. And who's to say I'm interested? And that is his way of going, I want to fuck you, but I don't know right now if I want to keep fucking you because there's other things going on in my life. And that's the gross reality of it. And I mean, she writes in her email, she continued, what do you think? Should I go on a date with this guy? I feel like I shouldn't even be wasting my time on someone who doesn't know if they're interested in me, but they're not disinterested in me. If I don't go on this date, what do I tell him? Hey, sorry, I'd rather not waste my time on someone that's not interested in me. P.S. I know I shouldn't have asked him if he talked to our mutual friend, but I'm kind of way too honest from time to time. No, I think what she did, I think, like, you're letting him know, like, hey, I'm interested in this, and it felt like I got turned down. You were vulnerable by saying, like, what did Chris say? Like, you're saying, like, hey, I've let people know that, like, this is a romantic conversation. This is she is living in reality. This guy's living in unreality.
Yeah, I think they just want two different things. It sounds like she wants to go on a date, and this guy just doesn't want to be tied down in, like, date court. You know what I mean? Like, he's keeping his contract very loose so he doesn't get called out on something. And I just feel like, just move on. And if it works, maybe it'll come back together again later. But, like, I feel like you should just be dating other people, and then it shouldn't be this, like, difficult. It's also like, I don't know, times are different. Why waste so much? This is like, that's an annoying exchange to have. It's not even fun and flirty.
It's not even fun and flirty. It's actually like reducing this down to, like, so do you want to fuck me and not ask me any questions anymore? Like, that's what this guy is trying to get in this day and age with technology and the increase of options. There's also this delusion that there's someone out there that's going to guarantee you casual sex. And that's what he's trying to get to. He's trying to get to an agreement that says, if we go out, we will be sexual. I don't know if sex is going to happen, but he's saying sexual, and you won't get mad at me if we never get sexual again. And it's like, there's no guarantee like that in life. That doesn't exist.
No.
And it's a very, like, male kind of approach to dating. And using the word dating is actually an insult to dating. You know?
I just feel like if they had met on, like, that would only work if you met on, like, Ashley Madison. You know what I mean? Like,
that is an Ashley Madison. That is an imaginary Ashley Madison conversation, and that's why there were like 100 million fake accounts on Ashley Madison. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com, and I think we both agree: don't go on the date.
No, just move on.
Move on.
Maybe it'll work out. You'll guys be in the same spot and have, like, drinks when you're like in the same neighborhood. But I wouldn't chase this. It's just annoying.
No. Get away from it. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Sarah, you got time for one more?
Yeah, I got time for one more.
Let's do one more. Everyone go listen to Sarah's album right now, Voluptuous Boy. It is everywhere. You listen to music. Go, go, go. I'll give you the title choice. I'm picking straight from the inbox. Dating expiration date, hot neighbor, just casual or beginning of something. Wait and see or own your standard. The second date fizzle, sex issue, 22-year-old boyfriend or 39-year-old Colombian. Will he ever come around? Help, fiance has a chewing tobacco problem. Newly single, 3 years to vacation.
Let's go with hot neighbor.
Okay, hot neighbor. Let's do it.
The title got me.
There, that's all. Listen, that's literally what I'm doing here. Hot neighbor. Feather. I've recommended JTrain to all my friends, and you've kept me saying thank you for participating in my MLM. And you've kept me sane during long commutes and while living alone during quarantine. Instead of feeling like it's just me in the four walls, it feels like I'm in a room with great friends. So thank you for the advice, countless laughs, and hours of entertainment. That's a sweet note. Thank you. So I have a hot neighbor. Let's get to the goods. So I have a hot neighbor. I noticed him a few weeks ago when we came home from work at the same time. We both gave each other what seemed like I'd fuck you eyes. The next day we crossed paths again. Again, there was more eye fucking. This happened a few times over the course of 2 weeks, but recently our schedule hasn't aligned. Once we talked a bit when I opened the gate for him as he was carrying a ton of groceries, but that's really it. He seems really nice, and I'd be down to get a drink or honestly just hook up. How should I approach this situation? Usually I'm not really scared to ask guys out, but it feels different since we haven't talked so much, and it's not like we are at a bar or on a dating app. Also, his apartment is too many doors down for mine to pretend to ask for a cup of sugar or an egg. That felt like it felt like whatever I was imagining just changed to black and white.
Yeah.
For context, I'm a pretty social 25-year-old, and I've gotten to know quite a few people in the building, but mostly they are people in their mid-30s, early 40s. And occasionally a few of us get together and have drinks by the pool. It feels different approaching this guy since the people who are our age seem to keep a little more to themselves, and since I'm actually trying to ask him out. Any advice? Best. What do we think? I love her email. I love this scenario. I think this can be good, clean fun. What do you think, Sarah? What do you think?
I think it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think the only thing I can think of, it reminds me of high school when you had a crush on a guy it's in a building and you figure out their schedule and then you just happen to be in the elevator around the same time that they are. Just like there are times that you figure out ways to like move into their world a little bit so you can have more of a conversation. That's
definitely like from the playbook I've been working from my whole life where it's like, oh,
funny, we're here.
Where did you come from? That's definitely like if we were to give like a playbook, like a step one. Step one is like she said they haven't seen each other in a while. Step one is let's create a line you can give to him so that when that occurrence happens, you are ready to read the script. I think like most of this is what do I even say? Because you're gonna see him again, you're gonna see him around the building. Maybe the schedules haven't worked out to this point. She sent this a day ago, so you're gonna see him. Like in the scheme of things. So let's prepare. What's the line gonna be when you see him? Because I'm sure you know this, when you're doing stand-up, when you're doing acting of any kind, if you know the lines, and now it's easy to act them out. Yeah. You're not gonna flub them. You'll have a little bit of a plan. Having a little bit of a plan is better. Way better. What would you think to say to this guy in the elevator at the gate where do we I would say shit because you're like the mixer thing, but then you're like, now I have to plan a mixer. Sure. Now I got to get the whole group involved and they're in their 30s and 40s and I'm the young 25-year-old woman who's probably cute, who's like, now I'm you become the most interesting part of this whole group. Now you're bringing someone into that lion's trap of a group, like they're all like looking at this guy, like that is a big mountain to build. Yeah, they got played. They're like, hey. Yeah, wait a minute, we thought we were hanging out. I think what she should say is, hey, here's what she should do. Use the group to get the number. That's how I would play it. You're out. You see him in the elevator. Hey, I've been hanging out at the pool with a bunch of people from the building. If you ever want to come hang out, you should definitely come. He's either going to be open to that or not. And also, this will tell you a lot about how he is personally.
He'll respond.
He will respond. It'll either be, awkward McDoofus where he's like, whatever. Or it's like, yeah, that'd be great. Cool. Take my number. Shoot me a text. I'll let you know the next time we have that happen. So now you have his number.
Yes.
So then from there, now you can go, hey, the group isn't really hanging, but if you're up for, I'm actually going to go out to the pool now and I got a 6-pack. You want to come hang out?
Yeah, that's easy. And if he says no, then it's just like very light. I don't think you have to have your soul crushed.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also it's reeling him in with the group because now it's not a total like fuck you to you.
Yeah.
And then the old switcheroo, you say, hey, the group isn't really getting together, but I'm down for some drinks. Would you want to drink at the pool? Boom. Now it's just you two. You're hanging out. And with that comes a little bit of vulnerability. Actually, we saw each other the other day. I've been trying to talk to you for a couple weeks now. It's cool that we're hanging out. If it gets to that point. You don't have to say that right away. But there should be some admission of like, yeah, I kind of put this whole thing together, like if it goes well.
I also think that has she never talked to him?
Just a light conversation. It said not really.
I was going to say one thing that brings people together the next time you see him is to maybe find something in that apartment building that's shitty and then shit on it.
Yeah. Shitting on something is the great communicator. I used to call this the what did I call it? The side comment. It was comment complaint or something like that.
Yeah.
You say something to the ether and then you hope that they join in a conversation that they weren't really involved. So you're like, that door guy is really awful.
He's weird, right? He doesn't
weird,
have to be.
Yeah. No, that door guy's a little weird, right? Oh my God, I know. Because if they jump on that, then you know there's interest. When someone's not attracted to you, you go, oh, the door guy's weird. They go, what?
Have a good day, ma'am.
Listening to you. Yeah. Good. What? Who? I don't. Yeah. Because I used to do that like when I would go to like group fitness classes. I would go to I'd get on the treadmill. I'd be like, oh, this class is hard. And then the person next to you would either go, oh, it's so hard, right?
Yeah, you should have been here last week and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
That's a person that's attracted to you. A person that's unattracted to you goes, who? Just doesn't even hear what the fuck you're saying.
Exactly.
JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Sarah, this is such a pleasure. Great to see you.
Always.
Thank you for coming on.
Definitely. I love these dilemmas. I'm a huge fan of TikTok, and this is all I watch is like dating horror stories, and it's so funny.
Well, listen, I gotta get into that world. I'm loving TikTok. I am I can't stop. I mean, the content king over here. But everyone needs to go follow Sarah on Instagram, Twitter @Stolamash. It'll be all over my my socials. Also, the album Voluptuous Boy. Go. Listen immediately. So funny, so amazing. Sarah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so much fun. Thanks, Jared.
I'm Jared Freid. We are here Mondays and Thursdays. Keep spreading the word. That is my MLM marketing campaign to you. Tell a friend, a coworker, a brother, a sister. We'll be back next episode. Boom.